Journal article review. How long-term meditation affects goal-directed control over attention. The authors of the article are Tammy R. A. Kral et al. From the Journal of Cognitive Neuroscience, and the presentation is presented by me, Jake. So first I want to start with some defining terms, the first of which being the default mode network. This network is mainly responsible for internal thought. The next is a piece of the default mode network called the posterior cingulate cortex. It is primarily responsible for self-oriented thoughts and identity. And as you can see, it is located about right here where that yellow point is. The broader default mode network is this surrounding area. Next is the RLPFC, or rostrolateral prefrontal cortex. It is responsible for high-level cognition, including integration of information, planning, abstract problem solving, etc. And the RLPFC is about right here, right in the head of the prefrontal cortex. Next is the DLPFC, or the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. It is responsible for any executive functioning, i.e. working memory, goal-directed behavior, and attention. And it is located right here on either side of the brain, this being the left and that being the right. And the last defining term that I wanted to share is resting state functional connectivity. This is the connection between brain regions in a resting state. Resting being defined as the brain not receiving any external stimuli. Previous studies have shown that long-term meditation is associated with strengthening the DLPFC, thus having more conscious control over redirecting attention to the present moment. However, these studies lack quantitative measures of attention and its relationship between PCC, or you can think of as self-oriented thoughts, and RLPFC, you can think of as higher level cognitive ability, resting state functional connectivity between long-term meditators and meditation naive participants. So who are the participants? What are their attributes? Well, the long-term meditators, there was 43 of them. Their average age was 44.1 with a standard deviation of 11.8. There are 15 women, 25 men, and there was 3 people excluded due to excessive motion during data capturing. They were recruited from meditation centers and mailing lists across the United States. They were also required to have at least 5 years of daily practice, 200 minutes per week, and a minimum of 5 weeks of meditation retreat practice. As for the meditation naive participants, there were 140. They had an average age of 44.3 with a standard deviation of 12.8. There were 74 women, 49 men, and 17 excluded due to excessive motion during data capturing. They were recruited from Madison, Wisconsin via flyers and online advertisements. Participants had to go to a 24-hour lab at the Weissman Laboratory for brain imaging and behavior testing. The Weissman Laboratory is located in Wisconsin, where the flyers were and online advertisements were put out. They used emotional style questionnaires, the Attentional Network Test, or ANT, designed to test alerting, orienting, and executive control, fMRI, and statistical analysis experts to review respective data. There was no information in the journal article of what questions, specifically the emotional style questionnaire, consisted of. However, regarding the ANT, or ANT, Attentional Network Test, participants are told to identify the direction of a central target arrow, which is surrounded by other arrows. The task uses different types of cues and flanking arrows to measure 3 attentional networks: the alerting network, the orienting network, and the executive control network, all of which are primarily controlled by the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. However, there are many other brain regions involved in these networks because, well, the brain is a complicated thing. So above is an fMRI showing lower mean connectivity or lower average connectivity within the default mode network in a long-term meditator. Why that is important will come up in the next slide. Next is the ANT. It's basically just an image describing the attentional network test and how it works. It's kind of complicated, so I won't go into it directly here. Next are the results. Quote, stronger PCC to RLPFC connectivity was associated with faster attentional orienting. This means, basically, that long-term meditators have strong control of their attention because of the increased connection between said brain regions. Quote, lower average participation coefficients in the default mode network were associated with faster orienting attention. This means that the lower one's default mode network connection is to the other brain networks, the faster one can orient their attention because of a reduction in self-referential activity in the brain. Now for the strengths and the weaknesses. Some of the strengths include that the article was published in 2022, 3 years ago. So the information is built upon the most recent technology and findings. There was a wide range of participants in age, gender, and location. I will return to the strengths after I cover the couple of weaknesses. So for weaknesses, there was a skew distribution between meditation naive and long-term meditator participants, with there being 140 meditation naive, but only 43 long-term meditator participants. Another weakness is that a total of 20 participants were excluded from the data because of excessive motion, reducing the quantity of participants, which harms the author's goal of substantially increasing sample sizes compared to previous studies. However, the sample size is still larger than many previous studies. And lastly, the study is structured in a way that allows for simple replication if this study was to be done again. This is the references, and as you can see, I shortened this very complicated long name to what was on the title screen. If you'd like to look into this journal article, I recommend it. It's quite interesting. Other than that, thank you for listening, and have a good day.